Hey everybody, Steven here. So today I'm just gonna do some live concept design for maybe an hour. Um, so if you've seen my previous video where I was presenting my project, so I've been reading a lot. So now it's time that I start to do some concept and maybe some models. So I'll just show you usually how I do it. I used to draw a lot on paper, but then I had to buy a lot of tracing paper and I kind of forgot, or I just lost the design that I make. So now I'm doing this all digitally, but I'm still using a Wacom tablet, and sometimes I use my iPad. But yeah, today let's just do some sketches. So I brought in my site plan that I made in ARCH. Funny thing, just before this presentation, I wanted to measure stuff, and I accidentally deleted all the fills that I've done. Luckily for me, I still have the PDFs, but everything was deleted. I think I spent 8 hours doing that figure ground, like clicking each footprint while it's all gone. Um, but I think I might be able to retrieve that information using Illustrator. Um, Maybe I'll do that some other time, but today we're just gonna do some designs. So I've imported the side plane into Photoshop, so I'm just gonna create another layer here. I do like to have that yellow background, just reminds me of tracing paper, so I'm just gonna create that yellow background. Maybe I'm just gonna, it's a bit too bright, so maybe that yellow here. And I've changed to multiply so I could see through, and maybe I can change the opacity 60. Yep. Make sure that those ones are gonna be, where do I lock that? Yep, just locking those so I know that I'm never gonna touch that, and I'm gonna create another layer. And on this one, because when I do it manually, I like to use different papers. Oh, I'm yellow on the camera. So I like to use different papers. Oh no, paper pens, color pens. So I'm gonna usually have a blue one. So I'm just gonna make this thing on the side. I'm gonna have a red pen as well. Maybe an orange one, cool as well. Then the green, maybe not this green. Green one, and let's say a grayish one. So those will be like the different pens that I'll be using. And maybe I'll get that type of blue. So it's just like a color palette, so I wouldn't need to go and click here all the time. And I can just use that, what is it called? Eyedropper tool. So it's I as a shortcut, and the brush tool would be B. So let's gonna make another layer. We can just call that color palette. And so this is gonna be, let's say, concept number 1. And gonna lock that so we can work on this one here. Let's zoom in. Okay. If we zoom in, we don't even see our color palette anymore. So I guess we can stay on this side. And so now I'm gonna press the brush pen. So it's B. I for eyedropper, we're gonna use maybe first the red one. And go back to B. And you can see that's the brush size. If you want to use some shortcuts on your keyboard, I think it's the brackets, like this sign here on your keyboard, this sign here. So I think this side here is to reduce the size of the brush, and the other one is to make it bigger. So it's a nice little shortcut. So I'm just going to delete that. And so the side that we're working with is this. So if you press shift, you're going to get straight lines. Press shift, so that's the side we're working with. And I'm just clicking the points, maintaining the shift, so I get the straight line. So maybe we can use that as a boundary. I'm gonna go on top. Okay, maybe lower the opacity. Oops, just gonna press I to. Oops, wait. For some reason. Yep. So I know this is the old building. So this one. And if we looked at, so that's Google Map, and this is this building here. So that's our site, and that's what it looks like. Right now it's not being used, but it used to be the old French Navy command center, and so I would like to use that as the main entry to a memorial, because I think this facade need to be kept for heritage purposes. Not sure about the roof. Maybe we could demolish that and have like a flat roof that people can go on top. I don't know about that yet, but so I was thinking we could keep the entry here. So that's gonna be the entry, and then people could go inside. So here that'll be the first outer space that we're gonna design. So here, let's zoom out so I don't need to, oops, be so this space here, yeah, because I need to think about the program and the stuff that I want, because it's about culture. So I guess the first part I'd like to talk about the ancient Tahiti, like the ancient culture it was done before, and then secondly maybe the colonization periods, and maybe at the end how is it now. So let's say maybe this is number one. It's gonna be the ancient time, and maybe this part number two, it's gonna be the colonial. So maybe that's gonna be like first arrival, then evangelization. I'm not gonna write all, but it's just to help me remember stuff. Protectorate, so, and then colonial. So maybe this is gonna be the central part of the memorial, and then here it's gonna be the present time. So there's gonna be this type of it's kind of like a timeline. Like I still haven't really thought about a program like the stuff that I want to, but maybe there's gonna be like a main exhibition. Like a temporary is one. Really, I'd like a performance. So a place where maybe with seats in the stage where people can dance, do some acting. A memorable place for the nuclear, so somewhere where people can learn about the nuclear testing and its impact on culture and environment, and where maybe people can come and pay their respects or remember their loved ones who maybe suffered from the testing. I don't know if I should have like some type of public space where people can just hang out and chill. Because I mean, I know this is the park gonna be on the other side. There's a lot of people go there. I've seen some playing chess or playing music. And I think I will also need some storage room, because if we're displaying artworks or what like sculptures, and if there's a temporary exhibition, we need a place where we can store them. Thinking maybe parking. I know that right now we have parking here on the side, but for my proposal, I'd like to kind of make that space here like a shared space. Because if you look right now, there's a lot of car park here, so heavily dominated by cars. So maybe repaving that area, make it flat so it connects our memorial museum with the Parc Bougainville, and maybe we'll have the car going underneath this, or use the car park that's over here and maybe create some connections from this side to our museum. So this is space for people, because yeah, right now they feel pretty divided. If we go along here, so it's like that, and you got the park here. As you can see, they're currently doing some works along the waterfront, but yeah, I mean, if you could connect this part to here, it'll make the space feel bigger and kind of extend that public space into our museum. So maybe this is a possible shared space. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go another layer, and this one you can just maybe change the opacity and to maybe 10, and you can just work on top, and you still see more of the stuff that you made. And okay, also I was thinking about how after the European came to Tahiti, the culture really changed and kind of shaped and mold the Tahitian culture as it grew over the years. So I thought that maybe the structure of the building could be European, or in a way the one that's showing the foreigners culture, because I think in the past most of the building that were made was using stones and wood, like timber, which could have been used to do the structure, but then now there's a lot of concrete and glass building that's like a new modern material. So I was thinking for this part here in the middle, the structure could be maybe some big concrete post on the sides here. That would be the one supporting different floors on top of here. So that's going to be number 2, and showing that it's that structure that's supporting all the different areas. I mean, don't know how to explain, because if you were to look in sections, because this is in plan, so you would have the ground floor, and I'm hoping maybe a 3-story building, not too high, but then you would have those posts here that just bit on the side. That'll be the, make it bigger, that'll be the one that's supporting the floor. So just, I mean, the positions on the side would kind of remind me of enclosing the culture. So the Tahitian culture would be in the middle, the things that's been displayed here, and then the structures on the side, maybe the French influence or the foreigners influence that's squeezing or encasing the culture. And it also, if you look in the section, that'll be the one that's supporting it. So maybe that'll be the concept around this part here. So France could be equal as the structure. That's kind of limiting what the culture could do, and then maybe, because you have to support the flow this way, but then you need to support the flow across like this, and then maybe we can change the angles. So maybe that's also, the structure could be used visually to express that the France culture, it's penetrating the Tahitian culture. So if you follow that same idea, if we were to design something here that represent the ancient Tahitian culture, I mean, we could keep that I mean, rectangular shape, and also have the same post, but maybe this one made out of timber or maybe stone. Yeah, I don't know, I'm thinking of so like if you were to look at the from this side as an elevation, so maybe you would have a stone wall, like that type of stone. See what I mean? And then maybe here you would have the timber post, either at the front or at the back, don't know yet, but in this area we would use more traditional or raw materials, but still position and design in a way that's really that show craft and skills. And then here you would use the concrete, the steels, the glass, maybe something that's really transparent, because the ancient stuff, that's something that we don't really see. I mean, it's something like that's decayed in the past, that's slowly coming back into the present. Just an idea. And then here, here. Oh, just saw a comment. Oh, thank you. Here, maybe that's where I'm gonna have stuff about the present, because now there's all this revival, cultural revival, a lot of people dancing. I mean, they never really stopped dancing, but I guess now I'm more aware of it, and I guess Tahiti trying to market itself, and there's a lot of stuff on the brochure on internet about Tahitian culture. And I also wanted to make a place where maybe just like so that's be the row of sitting, and then maybe this is the stage, so the people that's driving here could see the people dancing, because if you look at on the other side here. Oh, and by the way, I'd like to give a big shout out this guy, Christophe Courco, who did Google Street View, because I think last year, or maybe the year before, there wasn't any about Tahiti. So now it's, if you want to visit Tahiti, you could see the type of buildings. So this is the back of our site. As you can see, it's yeah, there's nothing more than wall paintings falling off, barbed wire, but the coconut trees, I mean, it's a nice contrast. And so I was thinking if you could have building here and then see people dancing, or yeah, I mean, there's a big opportunity to redo that space. Let's go back here, and so yeah, dancing here. Okay, let's just do another one. So just keep on doing. Oh yeah, and don't forget, make sure you always save concept design, and I think this one I'm just gonna lower the opacity of that as well. Maybe I'm gonna do a white background. Yeah, it's better. And I'm gonna lock that. And I'm gonna use black. Press B to go back to the brush tool. And okay, here we're talking about the colonial space. I think that's where I'm gonna have something about the nuclear test. And what I'd like to do is to maybe have a void that would kind of represent the bombing, the explosion, the destructions. And like if you were to look at it as a section, so if you were to cut this and look at this way, maybe we'll look something like this. So you would have, that's the void, and you would have the different levels like that. And maybe you would have an underground as well. So maybe this underground will be for the nuclear test. So nuclear and maybe part of it will be for the ancient Tahiti. Maybe under that we can have a storage area. Not sure how far you can go down below, because we're quite close to the sea. So we might touch the water up. I don't know, but I know that there's building stuff around here, and this is like there's 2 basements, so I guess we should be fine. And yeah, because I think the idea that I wanted to is for people to go around here and look up. They can see there's a big void, and maybe where's the eraser? It's E. And maybe here that little void so that the lights can get in, and maybe some voids around here, so people who are walking on the other story could actually see that there's something at the bottom, and maybe that they wouldn't see straight away, and then if they're interested they can go down here. Maybe this one's gonna stay like this. And I had this idea where this is kind of like the void of the explosion, but maybe also the kind of represent the shaft that they were building when they did the nuclear test in the bedrock, and the one that also filled with concrete. And I had this idea here of a concrete that's slowly cracking, so you can see that wall there, and maybe the crack could represent this fear that even though we did the test in the bedrock, they will slowly leak out and start to do more damage to the environment, but also a way to represent that slowly people are finding out the real impact that the test had on the people, on society, and in the environment, and that we can, as a society, can see it, and maybe let's, so that would be designed. Let's see if I were to do something in 3D. So maybe that's like this. So that's kind of like the void, and let's cut that. So I'm just cutting a little bit just to show you what it would look like. So let's say that's a wall. And this wall is going to be used as a structure as well. And I'm just going to use this tool here, and I'm going to fill that. So that's the concrete wall, and that's the other side. But what I like to do is to create fissure, like cracks, like this. I don't know. And this will be voids where people could see through. Maybe it's better to describe here. I'm just gonna create oops. And I think the bucket is J. So if that's black, and I'm gonna get the eraser. I don't know, stuff like this, crack. And then let's say this crack is gonna go here, and then it will connect to windows, and then you see, let's say that's the floor receding, and then there'd be a person here who could see inside the void, the emptiness, and he could see the cracks that's on the other wall, and then maybe the people from the bottom will also see the crack, but maybe not see the person, or maybe they could see the person. Yeah, that's one idea. And also, if you look into the sections, normally you would have those posts like I was talking about. And there was this precedent, I think it was from Rem Koolhaas. He'd done a museum in, don't remember where, but it's called the Kunsthal Museum, and he had like post our slanting, and it, well, I mean, when you see a slanting post, it's not reassuring. You're kind of scared. So I guess maybe that's what I kind of would have in here. Instead of having pole that's going straight, maybe I can have them going at different angles, like that. Yeah, because those posts also could represent the shaft that were used to put the bomb in the ground. Just some ideas again. It's all about testing stuff. And maybe the one that's dealing with this side of the building could be straighter. The one that are made of wood. Because I'm trying to design stuff that creates some type of emotions. Because here maybe it's about craft, something that's raw and natural, and not safe, but strong. Because I mean the Thailand culture, I think lasted for like 1,000 years. I mean, they were living fine before. And then here, during that colonial period, kind of want to show that it changed drastically over a period of what, 300 years. And sorry, it's not really structure. I mean, when I do my concept, it's kind of go all over the place. And I think that's what it is about, just spitting stuff on the paper and then hopefully finding something that's thick and interesting. Yeah, because I haven't really have a proper method yet, but okay. But it's always good to switch from a plan view to sections, do some 3Ds. Yeah. Oh yeah, I also had this idea that for the facade here, I guess I'd like to show the mix between the two culture, just like the Tifei. Let's go here and we type Tifei. So a lot of nice patterns, and that's what it's used to cover beds, used for clothing as well. And I think there's real opportunity to kind of use those patterns into a facade, and in that way it will create a sense of place. You would know that you're in Tahiti, and it's kind of embracing Tahitian culture. And maybe we can use the Tifefe patterns on wood, steel, because Tifefe is about mixing the two, like the art of weaving, I guess, and the new materials that was brought by the English and the French. But that's been accepted by, I think, most Tahitian. So you could have that here. And yeah, so like if you were to look in 3D, maybe that's your box. Yeah, always tend to make boxes. And let's say divide it into 3 level. Then here you would have some type of screen at the front here. The screen is usually used like to protect the building of the climate, because it's really humid, it's a lot of rain, wind. So it's always good to have a screen to protect the building. And so this would be made in part that could be easily replaced. So usually they're like a panel type. And this maybe could be colorful and have the pattern of the Tifefe, or something that represent Tahiti. Because right now if you look at the building, the building that we have in Tahiti, oh well, they have the murals. That's the thing that kind of promote the Tahitian culture. But let's go a bit further. It's mostly white concrete, glass. When you look at this, you don't have a sense that you are in Tahiti. That could be anywhere in the world except for the flags. Let's go a bit down there. Let's go right here. Oops. No, Mac is everywhere. So yeah, when you look at this, do you have a sense that you are in Tahiti? Not really, huh? Oops, my pen fell off. So yeah, this ID on the screen. Make a new one. And okay. Also something else that I wanted to explore. I know like in traditional Tahiti, they had a village. I was reading an article about the museum as a city, so I thought, what about museum as a village? What it would look like. Like a village usually have little houses scattered around. It's not just one big building, and each like houses or building has a specific function. So I mean, of course, it doesn't need to look as different building. It could be a main one, and this could be like special rooms, but that are popping out. But then, of course, they will all be connected by floors, maybe different levels, and there'll be some staircase. Like maybe here, staircase. And maybe you could have like spaces that get outside of the facade. Maybe one they're going outside of the French boundary. Could be a symbol of breaking out, revival. And maybe you can have one that's popping up from here. And maybe another one here. And also, sometimes when I place those stuff, you try to think about your context and try to relate your building to its surrounding. Usually it's done that through views, and I know if you look at the Google map, so let's say our building is around here, and here there's actually a memorials for Puvana. I think he was a Tahitian nationalist that really fight for the Tahitian and their cultures. So maybe because we could have like a view that connects to that. And here there's a statue of Bougainville as one of the first European to have discovered Tahiti. So you can have a view that go towards this. And then here there's all the French government buildings. So maybe we can have one that's go towards here. And there's another stone here that's about the autonomy. So maybe you can have one that's aligned with this as well. So I think I'll have to do a map showing the different monuments and importance building. So like we were saying, maybe so that's our building. If the first colonization is here, we can have one looking at the statue, and that will be the first explorer. And maybe around here there's one that's looking towards How do you spell his name? Right. No. This guy. So it's him. And I think we have one autonomy, so it'll be around at the end. Here, autonomy. And also, if we continue in that way, around here you get the Catholic Cathedral, so that could be another point. And cathedral. I don't know if there's something that's representing or memorialize the protectorate, or when Teddy become part of France. I'll have to find out. Oh, maybe that could be like where there's the police or whatever. It's around here. Or maybe like the government. And like there's the assembly here. So it's just a way to kind of relate your building to the context. And so if you go back to here, where's the black color? So if I have more buildings here, and I have this one there, let's start paint those. Oops. Close that off. Press the make another one maybe here. Maybe one here. And then maybe we can have the void that I was talking about right in the middle. So let's go for the eraser and make it bigger. Like this. So maybe you got a void for the bomb, and maybe we got another void for when I think at one point in history the language or culture was denied. I mean, they were banned. Oh, maybe that could be it. So maybe that could be around here. So maybe design another building here. And then I'm gonna do the circle. So maybe that's at the first arrival. Then there's the bomb. And I think I also like to kind of represent the timeline. So there would be like a wall, because there's a big change. But then when you do that, there's really like a before and an after. Yeah, because right now I'm still designing in a way of like a programming, like placing the stuff, but I still haven't think about how can I design a way to make people feel and reflect about the past. And because I don't want to just have like a building where I put stuff in it and I don't know, I'm thinking of a way how it can make you feel how it felt at that time in history. Because a lot of people, there'll be different ages. People wouldn't know how it was, maybe during the time of the nuclear test because they wasn't born yet. And maybe in the 1960s, before, like when it really started, it was a different lifestyle. Yeah, so that'd be for, I mean, it's quite early. Everything that I'm doing now might not be in the final, but I do like this idea of the void here. Oh, also, here you had that section here that was drawing it before. There's also sequencing in this, so I put the nuclear stuff and the ancient Tahiti underground, because I felt that those was the kind of foundations of everything that we have now in Tahiti. So that's kind of, this is the present, the things that you see. This is the past. Something that's hidden, maybe forgotten. And then that's from where the structure is coming from. I would even say that maybe this ancient one. If I was to go on top, that's the ancient, and then you would have oops. but then I'd like to, so if it's like this, this idea that the Tahitian culture is still coming through. So that'll be like the facade, and so like that's the pure stuff, and this is the one that's mixed, and you could go in different directions, just showing that the Tahitian culture is now weaved with other stuff. Saved. Okay. I just want to kind of draw maybe an elevation from this side. So it'll be something like this. You got the building here, you got the entry, you got the different windows there, and you got the roof, so a bit like that. And so if we design this, another color, press B, and I'm gonna do, oops, maybe a 3 level or 4, I don't know. I think 3 is good enough. It'll be about the height of the 3s that's on the side. I don't know if I should leave a gap here. But yeah, maybe you could just demolish this top roof and keep the facade, and maybe extending the building on top of here. Maybe there could be a nice room for maybe a restaurant or maybe a place where people can do repetition as well. So maybe if that's glass, but I mean glass is not really great for climatic like tropical climate. It gets super hot in here. I wonder if I can have some type of tower. Because I was thinking if I have a tower, it'd be like a lighthouse that represent like a symbol of guidance to go forwards into the future. Maybe not. Because this would kind of reminds me the old Tahitian boat. I think there was like this, and they said like it was carved. Have the face of somebody here. Oh, mini idea. I think the next thing that I'm gonna try to do now is to take those sketches, drawings, and go into SketchUp or ARCH9111 to kind of put them in 3D and see how it feels, and yeah. And if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to post them.